I'll unmute you. Hold on. There we
I
go.
got it. Hello, hello, hello. We are still dealing with the fact that uh, Facebook is terribly difficult to work with, and we still have
Mm,
to cross this over, and we need to be posting it. Um, we need to be posting it on my Kevin Ross Emery fan page, which you may be watching it on, and then I have to wait for it to show up to post it over to the Dr. Kevin show page.
there we go. I just shared it on my page too. That was a little clunky, but got it done. So
Yeah, that
hopefully,
is a little funky. You know, it's interesting because now I can share it over, and now I can put my phone down and go, "Hi,
I know I did the same thing.
hello."
Hello, how are you?
Oh, just hating technology.
You know, sometimes it's pretty hateable. Sometimes it's great. Today's a
Yep.
hateable day. I've been on my computer, I think, and my phone, blah, 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 all day. Enough.
Oh,
Exactly. It's attached to me.
ah,
And you are
I
sitting in a new room, it seems to me.
yes, we are no longer in the basement. Let there be light. Oh,
They let you out of the basement.
they let me out of the basement. So, an update for those and Ashley. So, well, first of all, welcome to the Kevin Ross Emery Show with
Ashley Olstein.
Ashley
Hello.
Olstein, spiritual facilitator, and I am Kevin Ross Emery, inspirational catalyst, which for some reason gets cut off. And I'm going to disappear from the screen because I have a kitty cat tapping on the door and meowing to the top of her lungs because she wants to be on air.
Well, of course she should be.
Okay, come on in, Miss Whiny.
Is it Morgana or Freya?
Oh, it's Morgana.
Oh,
You know, Freya doesn't usually bug me when I'm doing the shows or Zoom calls or stuff like that. But Miss Morgana is going to come right up and she's going to show us all her face, and she'll come up at some point and she'll show us her tail. Yes, and because she is all about the attention. She
yeah.
is a lovely little attention. Ah. There you go. See yourself on screen. Are you happy now? Oh, well, if I'd known I was going to be on screen, Papa, I would have combed my hair.
You got a message.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Elizabeth yeah, I'm upstairs. This is my office. It sounds a little echoey because we only have 2 of 10 pieces of furniture moved into it. And the funny thing is, I keep looking and going, do I really want all that furniture back in here? Maybe I could, I'm kind of, I like the openness and I like the space, and I know I need to put in more than I do, but what do I really need up here? So I'm having this, I loved my old office, but being in here with this minimalist is making me going, oh.
You can breathe a little better when there's some space.
But I call this my fishbowl. I feel like when I'm here, I feel like, especially, I had to do a client call because I do a lot of my clients on the phone, as you. My big thing is let's go take a hike, let's go walk in the woods, be on the phone, do my clients, hours and hours of clients. I think yesterday I walked 7 miles while doing clients. But there's certain kind of clients that I will do on Zoom. One being because I do couples work, and so I work with couples, and I prefer to be able to see both the couples, because if you're doing 2 people on a phone, You can't, it's just not quite as effective to me. And so I will always Zoom my couples. I mean, sometimes I've had to make an exception and I can always make it work, but I just like to see, look, and I like to see when one of them is going, while the other one is talking. It's a dead giveaway.
Yes.
You have some thoughts there on that, dear? But so I did a couples yesterday, which is the first day I've actually worked in the office on my computer, doing anything like a Zoom. And now, as you know, because you've seen it, you've been here, you've seen the brand new kitchen.
Yes.
And so close, so close.
It went pretty fast, I will have to say.
Yeah. Is I have this skylight that's right over my head here. And so I'm doing this Zoom and I've got all these windows. So all this light's coming from around me, all this light's coming down from the thing, and it pops the walls. Like they're more muted now because we're later in the day.
Yeah.
But if I went and turned the overhead lights, which I didn't have in my old office, yes, on, I mean, this color just pops. And I'm looking, I'm going, it's like I'm in a fishbowl. I just want to swim. Just let me swim with the dolphins.
Finding Nemo, Dory.
I have the Finding Nemo pants. Have you ever seen my Finding Nemo pants?
I have not seen those.
So I have these pants, and they're actually chef's pants. And I used to love wearing chef's pants. I had like 4 pair of them. You know, they have a nice, strong, elastic band. And they don't fall down. And they're really nice, heavy, durable cotton. They're meant for wear and tear.
Yeah.
And I only have 1 pair left. And they're the pair that is really like the shade of blue of my office, and all these different fish. And some of the fish are the Nemo fish.
Oh, that's funny. All right. You're
And
going to have to unearth your pants.
well, I wore them at the first psychic fair this month.
Oh.
And so, I mean, they're ready to draw. I always know where they are. But here's the funny story. I one day suddenly realized while I was at a fair, and there was a bunch, I'd always say to kids, can you find Nemo? Because Nemo is on several different places. And for whatever reason, I'd done it a dozen times, never thought about it. And the little kids would go, oh, there's Nemo, there's Nemo. Never registering until a kid went to point at Nemo that was right over my crotch.
Yeah, I saw where that one was going.
And I was like, never again can I do it.
Nope.
Hello, Kelly. Welcome. I got your lovely email, by the way. So I'm going to put this right out there, Miss Kelly. I read your email. Thank you. It was lovely. All I want to say is I wasn't sure whether you wanted me to actually send you an appointment link or not. So feel free to say yes or no, or ignore the question. But I read the email. I was like, oh, that's so lovely. Does she want me to reach out and schedule something or not? But it was a lovely email, and thank you. I met Kelly at the fair I did last weekend. So I was amazing. Thank you. Mwah.
He always is. Just ask him.
So anyways, yes, that was the end of me asking kids to find Nemo.
That's
It
fine.
was
All right.
so innocent, though. Because I would see the Nemos that were below my knees. I mean, how many people?
That's knee low.
Yeah. Knee low. You have to look for Nemo below the knee, kids.
So bad.
I look forward to it, Miss Kelly. I will wait with bated breath for your email. Thank you. He was spot on. Hey,
Perfect.
love my fan club. But anyways, I want to talk about, before we dive into the show topic today, we're kind of changing up the show format a little.
A little bit.
Do you want to take it from here, or you want me to take it from here?
Well, we can take it together. How does that sound? I think what we've talked about is doing more of a focused collection based on the month. So, roughly. So the episodes in the month of October will be about one certain thing. You're shaking your head. Is that not what we talked about?
No. I'm listening. Sorry.
No. Now I'm going to get like.
No, don't get paranoid.
Yeah. So focusing in on a topic and talking about it a little bit more, but we would also love to get some feedback from our listeners. What do you want us to focus on? What do you want to hear more about? What can we pick apart and talk about in a way that's interesting to everybody? Because you can't please everybody all the time, but there might be a topic that you're curious what Kevin's take or my take is on. Fill in the blank. So we were thinking that maybe it was time to just reach out a little bit and get some guidance from our viewers and see what you wanted to hear. And if you're not catching it live, you can certainly email us on a replay. I'll put our tickers up with our email addresses. So
yeah, if they want to actually email questions for the show, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a second.
You're going to put in a different email address?
I am going to do info@kevinrossemory.com.
While you type, I will put mine on. So I'm Ashley. That's my website. Hang on. There we go. Sorry, my glasses aren't strong enough for this little tiny font. So Ashley at solsticeintuitivearts.com is my email address. And Kevin, when you get your ticker, you can swap it over.
Yeah. Well, what I'm kind of thinking is, if it's okay with you, welcome to our planning sessions live just for your amusement. Yeah. Is if anybody says, I'd like to suggest a topic, I'd love you, to cover this or cover that or whatever, that in that case, I think I'm just going to say, just send it to info@KevinRossEmory, because it's just Perfect. A radio show. That's the thing. I mean, if you have a specific question for Miss Ashley, then obviously send it to Miss Ashley. And if you have a specific question for me, you're welcome to send it to me. But for show ideas, show topics, show questions, I think if we just have it in one place, and then our goddess of back-end management can make sure you and I both get copies of it and go from there. Sound good?
Morgana's wrapping Christmas presents back there.
Yeah. Actually, I think it's my husband breaking into the sweet drawer because he can't hold off till dinner.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
We have a healthy sweet drawer.
Perfect.
That has low carbs, healthy stuff, things that are both good for my lovely little type 1 diabetic husband that he can eat when his sugar gets low or he, whatever. And for me. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that, I like the theme month idea, and we talked about it. And I'm still on board with some of the themes we're talking about. And in fact, we can roll them out and see what people think.
Sure can.
And, but, we may have a month that this is just spiritual development topics. Like, where we're not going to be, and excuse me. So everybody knows when we talk about that, Ashley and I do the second, third, and fourth month of the month. Ashley's always welcome to join us on the first one, but it's the one that I've been doing for years with Matt Connerton. And Matt's my regular first Thursday of the month. Ashley gets to take a break. If she wants to join, she can. And, at some later show, there may be a Thursday I need to take off, and Ashley will be doing it on her own. And we'll still have some guests scattered. But if we have somebody that wants to be part of the topic, and like, so the example, one of the examples is, and we haven't decided which one, so stay tuned. It will get posted on the Dr. Kevin Show Facebook fan page that will let people know, and it will go into the promotional. But like, we're going to do Reiki for 1 month. And that's 3 shows, because the first show of the month is always Matt. And in the first show of the month, I'll announce what the theme of the month is. So if you tune into the first show, I'll say this month is, if the month is Reiki. Ashley, you're trained in how many different kinds of Reiki?
Oh boy, I haven't really counted 4 or 5-ish, maybe 6. I would have to actually count, but a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a collector.
And, I have do the Wei Chi, which is the early roots of Reiki, which I would talk about. I also have been a Usui Reiki master since 1994. So, I mean, we'll take those shows and we'll invite people to ask questions about Reiki, but we're also going to delineate. I mean, Reiki at this point has, become so varied and so all over the place. So to talk some about that journey from, the very Reiki Alliance, traditional Reiki to, every street corner you run into now, you have somebody doing, Yabba Dabba Doo, Fred Flintstone Reiki. And how is that different from Judy Jetson Reiki? And, and I think that, and I do think that there are times that Reiki gets sewed on a lot of terms that it might not belong there. But that's me.
Yep.
So we're going to spend that month, and, we're going to invite people, especially that have done Reiki or do Reiki or been trained in Reiki. I know right off the top of my head, I know you do Lighterian, and you do angelic, and you do holy fire Batman Reiki, and you do word in there. You like to guess which word is it? Was it fire or was it Batman? Which one did?
All of the above.
All of the above.
Batman Reiki. Yeah.
But we can talk about what are those different Reikis, and when might you want to be drawn to do a Lighterian Reiki session with Ashley or somebody else who does Reiki, and when might you want to do, get involved with the Wei Chi. And so Reiki is such a broad topic that to give it shows that we can talk about, that somebody just got a Reiki treatment today with sound therapy.
I love it.
And and she gets Reiki once a month. And so I would invite you that when we declare it's Reiki month, that you let the person that does Reiki with sound therapy say, hey, they're doing a whole month dedicated to Reiki on their radio show podcast, and you're welcome to tune in and share the kind of Reiki you do. So there's going to be themes. We've talked about Reiki. I want to do kind of like finding your spiritual path month. We talked about an astrology month. We want to take some of these big topics, break them down, and let people ask us questions. And there we go. Thank you, Angela. Let people ask questions. And that again is, and I'm going to switch the banner in a second, is info@kevinrossemery.com. Say, what big spiritual topic would you like us to dive into and talk about? If you're somebody who's watched some of the SIPs happen once a month. There's a SIP coming up, which I forgot to put a banner for. So at some point you're going to see me going, shh, while Ashley's talking. That's me creating a banner as we go, is that we will, and we'll cover that topic. And when it's appropriate, we may tie it up with the last SIP. For those of you who don't know, SIP is Spiritual Interactive the Spiritual Interactive Panel, where we bring a few experts together and they each share their expertise, and then we open it to questions and to share it with people. And the next SIP, I think, is October 20th, but I'm going to have to check.
What's the next topic? Sorry for my ignorance on that.
No, the next topic is chakras.
Oh, I like chakras.
Well, you were invited, and I believe you couldn't do it because you get invited to do but we're
I know. What am I doing?
International busy travelers.
Is the 20th this Sunday?
This Sunday, the 20th, 6 to 7, Spiritual Interactive Panel. And you can go to New Hampshire Metaphysical, the Facebook fan page for New Hampshire Metaphysical at 6 o'clock. Or we have, I think, Louis Graucion, Patty Anastasia, Raina Wilson, and myself.
Very nice.
How about how to help someone with mental health issues, the holistic approach versus community mental health approach? Just a suggestion. I love it. I love that suggestion. If you could email that to info@KevinRossEmery so we can get all the suggestions together and stuff, because when we end this stream, that goes away. So I think that's a wonderful topic, and I would certainly be willing to talk about how can you support mental and emotional health issues with alternatives. And
Definitely.
So that's a great topic. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So going through there, and any other thoughts you want to share, any topics pop up? And we talked about, maybe here and there talking about us. Again, we're still going to have some guests scattered through all of this. And if you know somebody, Ash, or I can know somebody that you think would be a good guest for one of the Reiki shows, because they do maybe a different kind of Reiki that you don't, that they could explain what the difference was between this Reiki and that Reiki. You also do Karuna, don't you?
I do.
I forgot that one.
Forgive me.
Bad.
Yep.
So this is kind of how we're changing the format. And before we dive in, is there anything else that you would like to add to the show changeover? But we really want interaction. We really want you to be weighing in, asking questions. We do this show as a community service to try to help people that are on their spiritual path, that are trying to sort through all of the really good and the really bad stuff that's on Google and on YouTube and all of that stuff. And that's why I created the Spiritual Interactive Panel. Is I only have people on the panel who I know that they're going to be people of integrity, bringing things in, that people who know what they talk about. So let me ask you a question, Ash. Yeah. There is a possibility that one of my panelists may be backing out for Sunday.
Sunday?
Are you available if you want to come in and talk about chakras?
It is very likely that I will be available. I have to speak with my husband and see, because we had the day dog-eared to spend together. So, because I'm out of town Saturday. So let me just run it by Mr. Olstein and see if he has any.
How come that sounds like we're on a sitcom?
Yeah, I know. It really does. I've got my apron and the martini's ready at the table. I'll check and I'll get back to you. I was gonna like message you off air and say maybe I could still come. So that'd be fun. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, questions from our audience, or anything else you want to do about the change in the format?
we'll give them a minute to type. And I'm looking forward to diving in a little bit more into some different topics and stuff that, you know, I would like to learn more about also. I learned from you, I'll learn from our viewers, and it'll help show a different angle of some things that I just kind of assume in my busy life, like it's this way, but sometimes I can see another view. So I'm looking forward to hearing from everybody.
Yeah, you know, the fun part is, and here I am typing that banner now. So I'm going to look a slightly is this okay? So it's 10:26 p.m. So okay.
All right, and I can chat while you're typing. So thank you, Kelly, for your comment that it all sounds perfect. Everything's perfect because it's the way it is. So it's in and of itself, it's got to be perfect, right? Even if it's crappy, it's still perfect. But this isn't crappy. So
you want to talk about what I just put on the bottom of the screen to let people know?
Sure. So Kevin and I are both going to be at, I mean, Kevin's a psychic fair, like you're a regular this month. You've been, I think, every weekend?
Yep.
Okay. So Kevin has been very busy, and I am joining him a week from Saturday in Newburyport. It's at the Elks Lodge from 11 to 4. And it's done by Gigi's Psychic Fairs. So I'm super excited. I have not done a fair with Gigi. So I am looking forward to it. And I hope to see a lot of faces there.
I love Gigi's fair. You know, I've done a lot of fairs. I've been doing fairs for 34 years. And I can really say that, you know, Gigi is right up in, you know, the top 5 of people I enjoy working with in fairs.
Good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. I love her energy. I love the energy she brings. And so, you know, it's a fair. I mean, like, as you know, I used to do the expo, and it was 2 days, and it was 10 hours each day, and there were speakers, and there was entertainers, and this is a fair, and there's going to be some vendors. So there'll be, you know, there's usually some great, I know one of the vendors that's coming does jewelry wrapping and has some gorgeous pieces.
Oh, good.
Absolutely gorgeous pieces. And there'll be vendors there, I know, and I know that there's another vendor I know that's going to be there that carries a lot of very interesting and different crystals and lots of different stuff. So you can do some shopping, and there's a plethora of different psychics. And I'm going to share this note for people, you know, because I get asked this question, and I'm going to put the question out, and then I'm going to see if Ashley has an answer that is either different than mine or she'd like to add on to, because this is all off the cuff. Trust me. If you can't tell by watching this show that we don't rehearse, you ain't paying attention.
Yeah.
But I get people ask the question, how do you choose which psychic? And I think there's a few different ways. First of all, I think your psychic should choose the psychic. Right off the bat. Let your psychic choose the psychic. And, you know, we all have a different way that we interact with our psychic, different ways we bring material. Some of us are more clairaudient, some of us are more clairvisual, some of us speak more in symbolism. You know, I mean, like, there is, again, so many different ways that psychic energy can come through. And when you walk around the fair, there are going to be people, and the energy just feels null around them. Doesn't mean they're a bad psychic. They're just not the perfect match for you. And as you walk around the fair, there are going to be some that you're like, I'm kind of drawn to this guy, or I'm trying to go on to this gal. And you may be drawn to 2 or 3, but you only want to, let's say, do 2 readings, because, you know, they're not limited. I have people that will book me for a half an hour or an hour, but most people do the 15-minute fair thing.
Yep.
You know, Yeah, so they can do 2 or 3 different psychics and get
Yeah.
different perspectives. And so go to those ones that you are drawn to and just kind of chat with them a little bit about, how did they do? Get a feeling, get a sense of their energy. I tend to avoid hard sells. If they're working really hard to sell you, you should have a reading with them. Always makes me a little, because our topic for the month of November is going to be shaman or showman.
Oh, for the SIP. Yep.
For the SIP.
Mhm.
Every shaman is a little showman, and every showman is a little shaman, and sometimes you got more showman than shaman. and when somebody is really hard selling, I feel like I'm more with a showman than a shaman. Doesn't mean they don't have some abilities, and I'm not trying to devalue them, but if you're going for entertainment purposes only and you just want to be abused, then great.
Have it.
But if you really want somebody to give you information with which to make better decisions, to open your eyes to something you've been blinded to tell you things that are coming, then you want to go to somebody who is a lot more shaman than showman. Like Ashley and I.
Exactly.
And I can say I know Patty Anastasia is going to be there. Do you know Patty?
We had her as a guest.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
So she's going to be there with Ladybug.
Oh, good.
Dog.
Fun.
And Raina Wilson is going to be there.
Excellent. I haven't seen Raina in a long time, so that'll be very nice.
So I don't know what other psychics are doing it, but I know that Wanda's going to be there with her jewelry wrapping. And Ashley, I'd like to hear your thoughts on trance and trance healing, please and thank you.
Oh, Stacy. Yes. Can we jump to that topic right now, or are we?
I mean, we have talked about at some point that we may do a channeling month. That's about trance channeling, code channeling. Yeah. But certainly the question's asked today, so go ahead and I'll shut up.
Well, Stacy and I have taken trance classes together for sure. So yeah. So and I look forward to diving in to a whole month of trance, because there's so much in channeling to pull apart. But we can just talk really briefly about it. And just, I love trance. I find it to be a really gentle, accessible method of, I like trance healing. And we talked a lot about healing tonight, which is great. I think all of the metaphysical stuff that we do is a healing modality. But we were specifically talking about like hands-on healing, Reiki and that kind of thing. But trance healing, I find to be a lot more soft and gentle and powerful at the same time. And I love it. I wish I made more of an effort and time to do more of it, because I should be doing it daily just for myself, because it's super healing for the person who does trance. What is trance to some people who don't even know? Trance is just, it's not zombie and, your body's out of control. It's just a deeper level. Yeah, exactly. He's in trance. Deeper level of meditative state. You kind of lose yourself just a little bit more. So I consider it a deeper level of meditation. How would you describe trance, Kevin?
She didn't ask me. She doesn't care what I think.
She asked you this.
Well, that's a great question. So I will answer do a quick channeling, because I think we should do a channeling month. And maybe Stacey Christopher needs to be one of our guests on one of those shows if she feels like that's a topic that she has some input to. Stacy's been on our show before.
Yep. And Stacy's an unbelievable trance healer. I mean, she's just so yes, Stacy may want to join us. Yes, please, Stacy.
So trance in of itself to me, and and I want to say very clearly, trance is TRANCE. Because there's a lot of, we have a lot of discussion these days about trans people. And if you don't enunciate sometimes, because it's a very hot topic for religious fanatics, nutcases, and, for bigots to want to pick on a marginalized community like the trans community. So I'm just wanted to kind of make sure our listeners are, when we're talking trance, it is an altered state where some part to all of your consciousness goes away and allows either the energy to work through you or the message or the voices to work through you. And there is something called code channeling, and I'm not going to kind of dive in that. But to me, trance, when you are fully in trance, you have set that ego construct of you aside, and that information flows. And if you are in full body trance, and I did trance channeling all throughout the US and Europe and Central America, you name it. And full body trance is when they actually get my body up and do things with my body, and actually do things with my body that I would never do with my body.
I'm looking forward to that episode.
Yeah. We'll talk about that on one of the shows.
Yeah.
When people are doing something where they're and they say, well, I'm semi in trance. It's like, well, but your ego constructs can still interfere with the process.
Yep.
And so I kind of try to always delineate that line of, you can co-channel, but if you're in trance, you're in trance, and your historical upbringing, likes, dislikes, whatever, your wounds cannot get in the way because you have been pushed to the side. And it's a very big act of trust. And the majority of people that I know don't do actual real full-bodied trance channeling. They will repeat what they hear, but they can edit it instead of it comes through. And they, like when I'm in a trance channel, my ears hear what I say. I didn't know I was going to say it before it came out.
Totally.
There's a real difference, and I think that line has gotten very blurred. So that'll be a great month, and we're going to have Stacy come play with us.
Absolutely. And Cheryl was.
The other question. Did she have a question? There was another question.
She did, but I just had to say what her reply was, that she would do anything. So this is a question directed for you about show tunes, and Stacy's readings are usually musically inclined, and they're beautiful.
So I'm going to ask you a question, Stacy, to respond to as I answer your question. I'm assuming you have had readings from Stacy, correct, Ashley?
Yes, I have.
And I'm going to assume, because you've taken courses and classes together and whatever, that Stacy has had readings from you.
Yes, she has.
So after I answer this question, Stacy, I want you to share your experience of a reading with Ashley.
Oh. Put her on the spot. Oh.
Absolutely. I'm giving her time to think about it while I answer this question.
Okay.
That's as courteous as I'm going to get. So show tunes, as you and I discussed when you were on the show with us, I actually have a class I've created called Everything You Need to Know About Life You Can Learn from a Broadway Musical. and it's actually teaching life lessons from songs from the 20s all the way up to today's musicals, and how much rich gold they give us on how to live your life and how to be a good person and how to be spiritual and all of these things. And so I've structured. So I want to start there because I do have this workshop that I do offer. Show tunes show up for me, movie clips show up for me, and when I teach my psychic development classes, I'm often telling my students, you know, your intuitive will go to your intellect to grab something from your intellect to help you understand the message they're trying to give the person. And so, yes, whether it's mediumship readings, whether it's my inspirational catalyst sessions, which are more like, you know, spiritual counseling, catalyst, you know, coaching, all of that stuff. I might pull a show tune out of anything, anywhere.
You were singing them before we started.
Yeah, I was singing them.
He was testing his mic before we were live, and he was singing show tunes. So,
but yeah, when I get certain show tunes, spirit, that for me, show tunes, movies, books are a coded language between spirit and I, that when suddenly a scene from a movie or a scene from a Broadway show or a line of a song from a Broadway musical, or even from any music, comes to me, I immediately know where spirit wants me to take the psychic session, the spiritual coaching and counseling session, the healing session, whatever. So there is your answer. And now I think I have a little dot up there that says you have answered my question to you. This goes both ways, baby. You ask a question, you have to answer one. There's a price you have to pay.
yes, the toll. I have a question for you, Kevin.
Oh, she hasn't answered it yet. Go ahead.
That's okay. She's probably logged off.
Did you log off?
No.
Oh.
No. Oh.
Okay. So ask me your question, and then we're going to show Stacy's answer. You want to show Stacy's answer first?
No, show Stacey's answer, because this is going to pivot a little bit. So, oh, Stace, you're so sweet.
Ashley's readings are so powerful.
Oh my God.
And heartfelt. She creates such a safe space of healing and transformation. I think that spirits must wait in line to speak through her.
Oh, very sweet. Thank you, Stacy. Definitely love fest back and forth. But you know I love you.
Website. You need to put that quote on your website. Make sure you screenshot it.
Oh, I will. Hold on. I'll get Stacy's permission first. Very sweet. Thank you, Stacy. So my question for you, Kevin, is, you know, I've known you for a while now, and do you have any go-to physical tools? Like, you know, not like your go-to divine tools, but physical tools. Like, you know, and the reason I thought of this question is I'm sitting here, I'm taking a workshop on crystals and crystal grids and that kind of thing. So my desk is littered right now. And I've never seen you use anything. So I'm just wondering if there is a go-to that you use once in a while. Or does it change? Like maybe sometimes you reach for something and sometimes you don't.
So when I'm doing, because my psychic is always present, and you know, for me, and one of the things I try to teach my students is kind of how to have the off and on switch, because you can't be on all the time. And so when I do fairs, I always have a table full of crystals in front of me. And I'm always playing with them. The funny thing is, I play with them because it's a distraction to get the message.
Yep.
More so than I actually look for the crystal to energize me. I'm a big, huge crystal fan. And I have created crystal grids for some of my clients for them to take home with them when there's particularly tough work that needs to be done or whatever. Did a huge one that was like I call it a crystal grid. I probably don't fit the traditional definition because I don't fit the traditional definition of anything.
No.
But it was done in a spiral, and it was a portable energy vortex that they could put anywhere that they needed it. And it was done all with crystals. There had to be about 100 crystals in that thing when I finished.
That's beautiful.
You know, if I have access to a tarot deck, sometimes I will play with it. But for me, it's always just an intellectual distraction. It's just something like that. So as far as an actual tool, really no. I don't have a tool. I have a funny story about that, which so when I went back to my when I started this business, coming up to 35 years, I started by doing readings in a shop, doing readings again, because, you know, I started doing professional psychic work in the late 70s, we're talking 1990. And I started doing readings out of a shop called The Mustard Seed in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And anybody who's been around a long time knew that Mustard Seed because it was there for 20 years, right on State Street in Portsmouth. And it now has moved out of it got priced out of the city. It was an urban crystal store and they offered psychic readings. And I knew the owner. In fact, the owner kept on begging me to come in and do psychic readings because I'd go in and do spot readings and it would drive her crazy because she'd be talking to somebody and I'd suddenly go blah at the counter when I was visiting her. And then the person would be like, I want to book a reading with him. And she's like, well, he actually doesn't work here. You've got to stop doing this. You've got to stop psychically like blahing people if you're not going to offer readings through here. Because they keep on going, when can I, you know, like, well, we do have a reading. No, I want him. And it'd be like, oh. And part of that, I want to say, is because I wasn't actively using my psychic to help people every day. I mean, my psychic was always in the background. When I was in a position that was psychic friendly and I was relaxed, I sometimes would give psychic readings to people in grocery store lines or whatever. You know, it was like, I can't not speak psychic. I'm just, you know, it doesn't work that way. But tarot was the big thing. It had come back in vogue. It was in vogue in the 70s. It died for a while, came back in vogue, has been big resurgence with tarot. And so I started to try to do readings with the tarot deck. And I'd be like shuffling the deck and I'd be like, blah, 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 blah. And then I'd turn a card over and say, oh yeah, that's what that card means. And blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, this deck can't keep up with me. I'm getting the message before I turn the card over. Yeah. And so I said, well, I need to get another deck. I've had this deck since the 70s when I first learned tarot. And I was like, so I got to get another deck. I think I was I know it was more than a dozen. It might have been less than 20, 17, 18 decks that I went through, and none of them could keep up with me before I realized tarot is really not the way for me to do psychic readings. Now, do I love teaching tarot? I teach a tarot masterclass. And, you know, that's a term that's so misused. People are like, I'm going to have a masterclass and it's going to last all day Saturday and all day Sunday. And you come in at no one and you leave as a master. What a load of crap. If you're really doing a master deep dive cleanse, you should be pulling out that person's mastery path and using the tools that you're teaching them as tools to understand their mastery class. You know, when I taught my tarot master class, it was 22 9-hour classes. That's a master class.
That's a master class.
Yep. Most people want a McDonald's version of a master class. Well, thank you. Uh,
You have a few messages up here.
oh my God. You can feel the pulse coming through the. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I do hover over, and the intention of having, because so when I do a reading at a psychic fair, I will take the person's hands and I have a pile of crystals that we rest the hands on. The crystal's only job is to help my person that I'm reading relax, be calm, and be open.
Mm.
So those crystals on my table, which I clean after every reading, is more there to assist the person I'm reading to be open, to, be able to hear what I'm saying, so it's a tool for my person. So what are some of your favorite psychic tools? And we could do a whole month on psychic tools. I mean,
We
I
could.
don't think against psychic tools. Trust me.
No. And I think, it waxes and wanes. Sometimes I like to have oracle cards nearby. Not always, but sometimes I do. A little different from tarot. And it's more about interpretation rather than literal, like what the card is saying. It's how the card fits into the energy of the sitter. I like having crystals nearby also, but never the same crystals. It's like as I'm leaving to go to wherever I'm going or doing a reading, I might look around and just grab a couple of crystals. And I have a couple of new tools in my toolbox. The Aurosoma sprays that we had a session about with Lisa. Yeah, I like sensory stuff near me, but I also have, I've got things like this beautiful selenite ball. Sometimes I'll just have it near me just so I'm looking at it, which helps me get my Ashley brain over to the side and allow more intuition to drop in and help me to, yeah. It's all about just distracting the human so that your intuitive self can step forward and be more present. That's how it is for me anyway.
So I think that, like with the selenite, I always have selenite on my table.
Yeah.
Selenite is an excellent cleanser, and a lot of people, a lot of emotions come up at my table. Second to my crystals on my table is always a box of Kleenex.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me. I'll bring them for Saturday.
Yeah. And I like to think that I create the safe space that allows somebody to feel loved, feel like that they can be vulnerable, that they're supported in who they are. And I think that the crystals can help create that energy bubble kind of around that we can, because, I've been to fairs and you don't see it quite as much today as you did in the old days, but I've been at fairs where 6-foot table and 3 of us were lined up across the table.
Yeah.
Doing readings, and you're right beside somebody else, and you have to create a privacy bubble.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I have a voice that can be heard in the last row of 2 theaters across the street from me when I'm speaking on the third place's stage.
Yes.
But it's bringing that vibration, bringing it in. I don't know if Kelly is still here or not, but I hope that when Kelly was getting her reading, it wasn't just that it was spot on, but it was, which I appreciate, thank you again, but that it was a loving, nurturing space. And even if I have to deliver what might come across as a tough message, my banner says psychic sledgehammer. Don't sit across me and think I'm going to not be blunt, but you can be lovingly blunt.
Yes. And you are a psychic sledgehammer. You really are. But that's what I love about you and working with you. There's no bullshit. It's just like, this is how it is, which I love.
So I'm going to stop for a second to remind people this Sunday we do have a SIP, a spiritual interactive panel with chakras. You may or may not see Ashley on it. We're hoping that she joins us. And it's 10:20 at 6 p.m. And you go to the New Hampshire Metaphysical Facebook page to watch it live streamed and to communicate through the live stream. So you can ask your questions. To remind you, the format is each person speaks 15 to 20 minutes. The thing goes for an hour and a half. And then that leaves us plenty of time for other people who are watching to either share something, ask a question, participate. But just like this show, the SIP is about trying to make sure that spiritual seekers are getting good quality information, and that just like Ashley and I may not agree, when we do these months, it's going to be fun because there are going to be things we might not agree on. And that's okay. And I always say this on all the SIPs. We're not here to agree with each other. We're here to give you a buffet offering of different spiritual teachers, healers that have been doing this, that this is what they do. And you have to look and take the entree that feels correct for you. And that's something that people don't always understand about walking a spiritual path, trying to find their purpose, stuff like this, which may not be a whole 3 weeks of shows, but it could be, really.
I think it's an important part of psychic development, just human development, actually. So I think that would be a great topic.
So Kelly said she's still here.
Yes.
I know we're getting close to wrap down. So I'm just, okay. She just typed a comment. So I'm going to read it the same. It absolutely was. I have to say, I'm skeptical with readers, and your reading shocked me. The beginning, when you said leave, 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 I did think you meant me, but everything you spoke to me about, only those who know me would know what you told me. You're just amazing. I was blessed for your reading. So I'm just going to focus on, so thank you again so much. I appreciate all of that. I'm going to focus on, again, the crystals, the energy, creating the space, creating the environment is so important, because as psychics, we will get very delicate information, and we will get things that, maybe hitting a tender spot in somebody, and we have to be prepared to hold that energy.
It's a very sensitive and caring job, for lack of another word, but ability, gift, that we are able to help people and be fragile around certain situations, like delicate stuff. And I think it's really important that you work with people that are sensitive to that, because not everybody is. So you really want to be thoughtful and respectful to the person who's getting the reading.
And I'm going to say this before we run out of time, but if we do, like, how to use psychics and psychic abilities and, people that are doing spiritual work as part of your healing and spiritual path, you'll hear me say it again. So when I say it again, Ashley can roll her eyes like, well, we've heard that. One of the things I want to warn, now maybe warn's not the right thing, but one of the things I want to share with people, and there we again, you're going to see Ashley and I, 1026 Newbury Port, Elks Lodge, at that psychic fair, is I do tell everybody that asks me, if you go to a psychic that says, I'll never tell you anything bad, don't waste your money, run for the hills. Because the future is not in granite. And if we get something that could literally save your life,
yep,
or stop you from falling in a pit of snakes, just always go back, and I've been saying this for years, the most powerful use of psychic abilities is to give you more information with which to make better decisions.
Absolutely. For sure.
And oh, thank you.
Great.
Next week, and we'll see you be at Newburyport.
I hope to meet you, Kelly.
But it is, you have to be careful of sideshow psychics, and you have to be careful of the psychics that will tell you bad news and then sell you a candle for $100. And we all know those. There are scam artists in every profession. Psychics have their scam artists. The psychic profession has its scam artists like everybody else's. But when somebody can alert you, give you some kind of insight, help you have an epiphany, or confirm a truth that you were avoiding, and you make different decisions, that psychic has earned their pay.
For sure. Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, if you're new report, you can, when she's in between readings, you can either decide to have one with her, or at the very least, you go over to the producer. She'd love to meet you.
Yes, for sure. All right, we've gone over. So, what's next week?
Next week,
I don't know. Next week.
we have no idea what next week is going to be at this point.
No. It'll be fun.
We're not into the set a month theme yet. And again, not every month may have a theme. We may just be doing some scattered as we continue to evolve and shift this format. But if there are topics you definitely say, I really want you to talk about that, even if it's a one-show topic or a question, info@kevinrossembry.com. Send that to us. Let us know what it is, if we can touch upon it next week. If anything happened today, or there's any question that we end the show and you go, oh, I wish I'd asked this, or oh my God, I wanted to, or I just thought of, you can send it, and you tune in next week. We will read your question on air and answer it.
Absolutely. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Okay. Be well. Namaste.
Namaste.